Hello and welcome to Getting a Lift, the lovely Laura. I have known Laura for years. She's a local in the Nald. I actually knew your sister first, and we're going to talk about Donna.
Yeah.
Laura is here to talk about our cancer diagnosis and secondary cancer diagnosis, which you've just got this year, haven't you? And that's the main reason that you're here, to raise awareness, because you're on your own page now. You've just started up a wee Instagram page to help raise awareness for women and men.
Yeah, it is. I do focus on women. I think because I'm a woman, and the majority of people who are diagnosed are women. As well.
So
it does happen to men.
Your page will be. We've already got a wee bit of promotion going on in the Cumbernauld Costa Kappa. Your page is called ABCDFU.
Yes. So ABCD, I'm going to be volunteering with a charity, Meetup UK it's called. So basically the person who founded that charity, her page is ABCD, so that stands for After Breast Cancer Diagnosis.
Oh, I didn't know it all had meaning.
It does have meaning, and I was trying to think what's going to be catchy, and then that was like the song that's out just now, and I just wanted people to remember the page, you know.
So After Breast Cancer Diagnosis, ABCD. But what's your next bit?
I think it's underscore FU.cancer, because it was just trying to incorporate it all.
That's good to know. You'll be tagged in all of that anyway. Right, so we're going to start for the beginning. You want to say just a wee bit about you first?
Yeah, so I think just for people that don't obviously know me and know my background, I've had quite a few messages kind of wanting to know a wee bit more, and I figured this was a good place to start. So I am 33 just now, obviously, as we spoke about, in Cumbernauld, lived in Cumbernauld all my life. Balloch is where I stayed all my life basically, and I'm back there now actually, with my husband, my wee girl. So yeah, had perfect childhood, perfect upbringing, happy, healthy, no issues, and no kind of cancer in the family or anything like that. I think my granddad sort of later in life developed cancer, but I think that's very common. He was quite old. He was,
that's how my gran went in the end at 92, cancer.
So I think like that's kind of common for that to happen. But yeah, so there was nothing for us to think, oh right, we better watch our health or be careful or anything like that. So I have got my notes because I've got terrible brain fog for my treatment, so sorry.
At least you've got a reason for you. Well, my reason is just old age. But
comes to us all. So yeah, I was like 17 when I met my husband Alan. I've got
really? Is that who I'm
a life sentence. Sorry, Alan. And I've got Millie, who's 10, and she's my whole wide world.
Oh, you're getting emotional.
I know, I will. Actually, it's probably because I've got the cold as well. I'm pure blocked up, so I might sound emotional, but I'll be crying at some point as well. Yeah, so I've never really like smoked or drank a lot or been majorly unhealthy. I'm not a big exercise person, like I will admit that, but I've never really lived a really unhealthy life, you know.
You've
so
always
there's nothing
been
really
like slim and you know, just
I've never bothered about
you have?
I've never bothered about my weight or anything like that. I mean, I would get a wee takeaway like once a week or whatever, but there's just nothing that I can pinpoint why this would happen. And obviously as I go through my kind of story, then people will begin to understand that actually there's genuinely no link to all of this anyway. But yeah, right, that's about me. I've kind of worked full time since Millie was like 3 years old, so I've been out and about. I've not just sat in my house and not done it, you know, like I try to think of why it might have came about, you know, and there's just really no rhyme or reason basically. But we kind of started doing some charity work when my friend made little cupcakes, right? She's really into making cupcakes and cakes and things like that. She's dead, what do you call that, like creative, crafty. She made little Booby and little Willy cupcakes, right? I can't remember what it was for, and we were sitting together and I was like, me and my sister-in-law and my best friend, and we went, oh, that would be great for a charity night. Like, why don't we start a charity night? This is before anything was
You'd ever even encountered cancer in your family.
Like,
this was
we hadn't even thought about it. Well, in saying that, Alan's mum, which again it will all kind of link in, but Alan's mum actually passed away when she was 41 for cancer as well, breast cancer. So my husband Alan. So that was the only sort of encounter I had sort of close by of cancer. But that kind of like all links in because it's crazy. She was the same age as my sister, and the kids were the same age as well. But I'll go on to my sister as well because I feel like I'm jumping stories already.
No, it's
but
alright.
yeah, so we decided we'd do a charity night, and the first one we done was like for Children's Click Sargent, the children's cancer charity. We got a speaker over. I can't remember exactly how much we raised. I wanted to have the figures, but I'll post them out. But yeah, we done that, and then my sister became unwell, and I was like, let me do some fundraising for you, like whether it's alternative therapies, whether it's to give you some memories together or whatever. And she was always like, she didn't want to.
So when would that be then, Laura? Maybe about 10 years ago?
Yeah, so she was roughly, yeah, it would have been about 10 years ago. She passed 5 years ago, and she was kind of, so she started suffering about 5 years prior to that. And it took about 2 years for her to be diagnosed as well. So maybe about 8 years ago we kind of had...
That was when you started the whole charity work thing then?
Yeah, just before that. And then when she took unwell, we were like, well, we had a really successful charity night, let's do it for you. And she kept saying, no, like, it's just... Your pride gets taken away from you, I think, as well. If you do something like that, you don't want to ask people for money for you to then go and spend it, you know. And I was like, people wouldn't think that. They're wanting to help you. Everybody was always offering to help. But anyway, so in the end, we done one for the Beatson. Again, I'll post a picture because we're holding like a big check at the Beatson, and I've got wee Millie, she's like 3, and I'm there with my sister-in-law and my friend as well.
So that was the very first charity thing that you did in connection with cancer?
Yeah, so the Click Sargent one was before we knew anything was happening with Donna, and then the Beatson one was when she had been diagnosed, but it was like the early stages of it.
Yeah, right, okay.
So we had kind of started the cancer stuff, I guess, at first, but we just thought like kids charities, like I don't know, I think I related because I had Millie.
Yeah, and that's actually, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here as well, but that's actually how I know you, really, through your charity work for cancer, because like I say, I knew your sister Donna, and you were doing charity work at that time in connection or raising funds for Donna's cause, whatever. I don't know the details, but I know that's how you know, I got connected with you because of that. But now you've got your own story to tell. So I just wanted, the charity work was the how I know you.
Yeah, that's how I think it's probably how I know a lot of people, actually, through the charity nights, and then through Donna. Like once Donna was diagnosed, and we started kind of looking at the charity nights more specifically for her as well. But that was more towards the end. But again, I'll get to that. But yeah, so we kind of done those 2 charity nights. Donna was diagnosed, so she must have been 2015. So basically, I'll kind of go to Donna's story because with my notes again.
So Donna was your older sister.
Yeah, so I was going to mention that actually she was 13 years older than me, and then I've got a brother, Kevin, he's 10 years older than me. And again, I'll get on to his story as well.
It sounds like you were a wee surprise, precious gift.
I don't actually know.
So
I've never asked.
She's a bastard
mistake.
No,
mistake she's ever had.
Nobody's ever a mistake,
No.
just a wee surprise.
I don't actually know that, to be honest. I really don't know, because they were quite close in age, so probably I was not the most planned, but obviously came into their life and made it great. Yeah, so Donna, she kind of led a healthy life as well. Like she had 2 kids and was married to her husband Grant, and probably when Aaron was maybe he must have been about 3 at the time. Yeah, because Millie was about 3.
They were just
roughly.
wee tots.
Aye, they were tiny. And Donna kept getting back pain, and she was back and forward to the doctors all the time, and they put her onto the physio, and the physio was like, right, okay, working on her back all the time. Oh, it's sciatica, it's sciatica. We used to walk about Asda going shopping, or her and my mum mainly. I'd be working, but if we ever went out, she'd literally walk about Asda and have to lie down in the middle of the aisle because the pain was that bad. Like, she would just like lie down, people were walking by, and she'd lie there and laugh. Like, she'd be like that, oh my god, people are going to, like, she didn't like the attention, do you know what I mean? So that for me was like a big like red flag, like, what's going on here? Like, she wouldn't do this. She doesn't like people like giving her loads of attention, like running around and making sure she's all right. She's not just collapsed or whatever. So eventually she ended up in a wheelchair, actually, because the pain was that bad. And yeah, so it took ages. They didn't do bloods, they didn't scan her, they were just not on top of it at all. Supposedly the physio should have referred her back to the doctor for scans and things like that, and that just never happened. It was like kind of lost in the system, I guess. Like, she was just ticking over, like, and told it's sciatica and going back and forward. So she was off her work, in loads of pain. Could barely walk the length of herself basically without having like loads of pain. And I remember us being in Turkey on holiday. We had went, mum and dad had a place over there, and we had went a family holiday, and I just remember being in loads and loads of pain quite a lot, like when we were over there. But that was the last holiday we had that we didn't even think it was going to be, like, nobody turned round and went, this could be serious, you know, this could be cancer. So
it never crossed your mind?
No, because we never had anything.
You just wouldn't.
We never had any history. There was no reason for us to think that that's what it was going to be. And she was young. She was healthier than me as well. Like, eating wise, like, I always say that she was always her 5 a day. You know what I mean? Like, she was that. There was just nothing. She drank even less than me. Like, she just wasn't a big drinker. And they say that alcohol can be quite a, I don't know, like, kind of stimulant for cancer. Yeah. So yeah, like, there was just nothing in our heads that we could think, oh, wait a minute, this is going to be something serious. So I remember her going for an appointment and a scan, and I can't remember how exactly that came about, but eventually, because the pain had got so bad, I think actually is why she then got referred on for a scan, and the scan came back and it was cancer. And I remember being in my work and my dad coming and picking me up and just sitting crying in the car. Like, when I came out, it was like, my mum phoned me, you need to come home. And I was thinking to myself, oh my god, this isn't good. Like, my mum was upset on the phone. My dad drove up. My dad wouldn't just come and pick me up for work. Do you know, I could drive as well at the time, you know, like, it wasn't like, but they knew that they couldn't say anything over the phone, and they would panic me if I was sort of driving home. So I went out and my dad was just in tears. It was horrendous. And I remember the same thing happening again when she was told that it wasn't curable. So it was quite quickly, like, it was maybe within weeks that she was diagnosed, to them being told that it's like sort of stage 4, it's not curable, but we'll give you sort of treatment to try and prolong your life, I guess. So yeah.
What type of cancer? You've not said what type of cancer it was.
So she had sarcoma cancer, so it's like a tissue and bone type cancer, and hers had grew on her pelvis, and this is why she was getting so much pain, because it was leaning on all the nerves and things like that. But why, when the treatment, or why when the physio wasn't helping, you know, why that wasn't picked up, that, oh wait a minute, this is still quite serious. But I remember my dad coming back for me again. I remember it not being good, like, he was dead upset in the car, taking me home, and I just sat outside. I actually can remember sitting outside my mum's, and I couldn't get out the car. Like, I just crumbled, like, I just couldn't contain myself, and I thought, if I go in there, and I can't remember if the kids were there. My mum was maybe
What age would Donna be at that point?
So she would have been about 38.
38,
she passed away when she was 41.
Right, 38,
So-
and two young kids, toddlers, and just one a wee bit older than
Yeah,
a toddler. So tragic, so sad.
Yeah,
See,
super young.
can I ask you, and this is all about just me understanding, I mean, I don't know if everybody out there does know what stage 4 actually means, but what does it really mean when doctor says that to you, it's stage 4. Is it, I don't know, is it the worst thing you can hear?
Yeah, so people will say like it's terminal, right? So I think that's what people recognise something really bad as being something that's terminal, because it can't be fixed basically. So stage 4 does mean it's not curable. You'll hear people saying that it's advanced, it's terminal, stage 4. Metastatic as well is a term that they use when it's kind of spread. So you do hear quite a lot of terms for it, but the stage 4 does mean that it doesn't mean that you're not, it doesn't mean that you're going to drop down tomorrow. Like, it definitely doesn't mean that. And because the treatments are now like so advanced, that I'm finding now as well, people are living like, it's one of my posts I put on actually, because I've done a wee bit of research in a wee group that I've joined. I think it's stage 4 deserves more or something on Facebook. And I just asked, I was like, how long have you been living with it? So some people will be like me, who's just been diagnosed in April, but I've been living with it for a long time before that. I know that from the pain anyway. And other people are saying that I'm here 10, 15 years later.
Really? Right.
So you don't hear as much of that as much as I would like to hear anyway, but they say that that's because they're too busy getting on with their lives, and they're not sitting focusing on a Facebook page. And I think most people do focus on it, like early diagnosis, the first couple of years, or maybe the first year, first few months are just intense and horrendous, that you crave hearing that somebody's okay, that they've made it through, they've lived longer. And I guess because of everything with Donna as well, I want to hear that. I want to know that it is possible that.
And I know that even just from wee bits of research that I've done myself, I know that with breast cancer and the more common cancers, because breast is up there as in the top 2, I'm sure, for women anyway, that's where the majority of the funds go for, you know, medical development and all of that. And the reason I'm asking you about stage 4, and I know stage 4 probably had a different meaning for Donna than it does for maybe somebody with breast cancer, purely because of the knowledge and the medical research that's been done to try and treat it and to give longevity of
prolong your life. No, definitely. So I think people sometimes say, like, I've heard or I've read, it's the good cancer to have, breast
oh my
cancer,
God,
right?
no, I would
and I'm
never
like,
have said that.
I'm like that. What? Like, I don't understand that. But there's lots of research and lots of money and lots of options for people with breast cancer. So the fact that there's so much research and so much money pumped into it means that we do have, I guess, a better, I'm trying to word this,
prognosis?
Is
that the right word?
Yeah, well, I mean, no, because stage 4 is stage 4 at the end of the day. It doesn't matter like what kind of cancer you've got. It means that it's spread throughout your body. It's not just localised to one place, and that stage 4 is the type of cancer that kills.
Aye.
A primary diagnosis isn't that, you know what I mean?
And I suppose I don't want to sugarcoat it either, because that's the whole point of us having these conversations. But at the same time, with certain cancers, there is more treatment available than for others, and that's just fact as well. But going back to Donna's story, finishing that story, well, do you want to?
So that was sarcoma, and I was saying, I remember being in Turkey and us having a great holiday, but her being in a lot of pain and then coming back, and then I went through that, didn't I, like her diagnosis. So I was sort of sitting outside my mum's, and she actually came out to the car and consoled me. That's just her, that's just Donna over the back. She was so strong. And people do say, oh, you're strong, you're amazing, you're this, you're that, and it's lovely, but genuinely she was like the power of strength. I think she probably held a lot of it in and didn't want to, because she seen the state of me when she got diagnosed, she didn't want me to kind of, I guess, see the other side of it. But I did eventually, like when we would sit in and have nights in, I was always with her.
You were just a young woman yourself as well, going through that, so you would be 20. 20
What
odds.
age was
I'm
that?
trying to do my sums.
About 24.
Aye.
Because I think Millie was about 3, so yeah, about 24.
Mm.
So it was a lot. So she kind of encouraged me to just get on with your life as well. But I spent a lot of my time with her, and sort of particularly towards like the end. So she went through like chemotherapy, radiotherapy. She like lost all her hair and all that, because I think that's quite prominent when somebody knows you're ill. Like I think people relate hair loss to cancer. Like
Yeah.
I know Millie did as well, and she still does, which again she's not sure why I've not lost my hair kind of thing, so just try to explain that. But yeah, so she
So after the stage 4 diagnosis, the aim from her medical team just was to give her longevity. Just to prolong her life. She was a young mum, young kids. So even with that stage 4, it's all about getting as much out of life as possible.
Yeah, and she did, like, she would still go on holiday, she would still do as much as she could. We went away, and I remember our last holiday, we went with her. We didn't know it was going to be our last holiday, but we went with her to Tenerife. And yeah, I've been back to Tenerife since, but you've just always got that, I don't know, it's like pure heavy feeling on your chest. I've actually been back to the same hotel as well, but we went away to Tenerife. She had her 40th, obviously, like the year before she passed away, and we went to Gran Canaria. So she was getting on with her life, she was still doing things, but she was in a lot of pain. She was still going through chemo, so getting all the side effects for that and everything as well. But yeah, she fought a good fight anyway. And people say it's not a fight, and I think when people say to me as well, oh, it's like a battle, you're putting up some fight or keep fighting, and some people get offended by that kind of terminology, and you'll probably see on my page as well, I've kind of done a wee thing about that as well, and it's like kind of what to say and what not to say. But I do want to be clear that it's not just me that's saying that, do you know what I mean? So people shouldn't be uncomfortable saying something to me and you keep fighting, and then go, oh my god, I shouldn't have said that to her. I wouldn't ever want anybody to feel uncomfortable like that kind of way. But there's just a lot of terminology that people say, well, I'm not fighting, I'm just getting on with my life and everything. But it's all terminology that I've used towards Donna. Like, I'm like, she's a warrior, she's a fighter, like, yeah, it's all just like, you're so strong. And because it is like, when you see somebody going through that, you go, wow, look at you, how can you still be going out with our kids and going on holiday and doing everything whilst having all the side effects of chemo and knowing what's going on in your body kind of thing. So
I think it's just natural human instinct to give that type of encouraging words to give those, you know, it's just
people
a natural thing to say. But
yeah.
maybe it's just we've moved on in society, and maybe that isn't as, you know, considered as kind as it used to be or whatever. I don't know. I just always think, like, from a woman's point of view, we always, whether I can't speak from a cancer diagnosis and really don't want to take that away from you, obviously, but I think in my experience, even with other women in my family or just knowing other women, it's such as a mum, thing that we do, regardless of how challenging things are, you've got to keep going. Because there's always somebody or something that you feel you need to keep going for, and that's kind of, I think, what it boils down to.
I always say the kids have always been our saviour. Like, Millie's been mine particularly, but even just like Megan and Aaron and my nephew Sean and my niece Orla as well, like, they all, you need to get up, you need to get ready, you need to get on with it. You've not got a choice, and if you lie down to it, then they're like, right, okay, what's happening here? Do you know what I mean? Like, people need to still go to work. Like, Alan still goes to work, my sister-in-law still goes to work, my brother-in-law went to work at the time. You know, life does continue to go on, but in your head mentally, that's quite difficult to accept, that life still goes on, do you know? So I think that's why sometimes all the terminology and things, people can take offence to it.
Because it's a completely different battle mentally than somebody seeing you as being a fighter and a warrior, because you don't actually feel like that. You don't feel like that. You just feel like you're doing your best.
Some days you think, oh my god, I'm doing great, like I can't believe that I'm up doing everything normal, and you don't forget, you never forget, it's always in the back of your head. But if you had a normal day out and all that, it's more at night when you go home and you lie down and everybody's sleeping, and it's like, right, okay, that's when the mind starts going a bit crazy, and it's the mental battle kicks in. It's like an emotional roller coaster. It is. There's no and there's no textbook for it, and if somebody wrote one, I'd chuck it in the
chuck
fire.
it to shreds.
It's like there's
every story's different. I know. So with Donna, she 5 years she got, didn't she? Was that right?
So my family will probably watch this and be like, no, that's wrong, but no, she was diagnosed. So I think it was, she had a 5 year sort of battle with it, I guess you could say. The first 2 years she wasn't diagnosed, but she was like really in pain with it and really unwell with it. And then I'm sure it was 3 years after
diagnosis, so she
3 years.
got a stage 4 diagnosis and got 3 years the treatment and everything like that.
I'm sure it was 3 years, because I'm sure it was 2015 she found out.
And then you
it.
did a big massive charity event that I was at and raised thousands and thousands of pounds for, was it Strathcarron?
Yeah.
God damn, I can't believe I even remember that.
I've got it wrote down, but I remember that bit.
Was it not over 10 grand? It was massive.
23 grand.
Was your target 10 grand? Is that where I'm getting that from?
Donna, so they, like, just to kind of put it into perspective, I guess, that Donna was she was really unwell, and she went into Strathcarron Hospice for some respite, basically. Just, she didn't feel great in herself, and she didn't want to put that on like her family. So she went into the hospice. As much as we would have all helped and everything, it was just a different, you can't help that, do you know what I mean? Like, so we needed the professionals. So she went in there, and I remember texting her the day that she went in and saying, what's it like? Like, are you okay? Are you comfortable? Do you need anything? And she just texted me back saying, it's amazing. And I was like, a hospice is amazing. And this is my first encounter with a hospice. We had visited the Beatson when we done the Beatson charity night. We took it and they showed us all around and everything, and that's an incredible facility, but the hospice is just something else. Like, and I was like, how can a hospice be amazing? And I was like, right, okay, I'll see when I go in. And I went in, and it turns out one of the girls that was nursing Donna went to school with my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, and we knew her locally. It was bizarre, but she was like Earth's angel. Like, she was just amazing with her. All the nurses were, like, I just couldn't believe what they put in to their job. But I do think that you need to not, like, they don't see that as a job, they see it as helping people, like they're out to do good kind of thing. It's not just they're there to get the check at the end of the day. And so much so that the nurses, including Louise, the girl that nursed Donna, she stayed. So we were talking about this just before, that when Donna went into the hospice, it was the year that they had, so 2018, March, February into March, she was in there for a week, and that week was like the worst snow we had ever seen.
I was just going to say, that was the second Beast for the East.
Or was it?
Or was that the first one? I can't remember. I know, well, it's so memorable to me because I remember, to be honest, just to put this into a wee bit of perspective, there's very few people in Cumbernauld that don't know Donna's story. Very few people. You're very well known, a very well known family in Cumbernauld because you're light and you're popular, but also because you were just reaching out. I mean, this is giving me goosebumps because I remember it clear as day on your Facebook page, and everybody was sharing it because Donna was in Strathcarron at the time. The family were trying to get to her. The snow was 10 feet, and I am not joking, 10 feet high in parts, and you were struggling to get to her, and they were looking for 4x4s to. Oh, it was just so...
So my mum was there with her. My mum never left her side, so she was in for the week. And
so it was you and the other family then?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that your mum was there.
She was there because Donna and Grant, like my sister and her husband, had an agreement that he would be with the kids and make sure that they were okay, and my mum wanted to be with her baby basically. So she was there, never left her side for the whole week that she was in, and I was there every day, and I was staying, and then I was going home at night. And this night the snow started to fall, and I was so torn on what to do. I don't know why. I was like, maybe I shouldn't leave, maybe I should just stay tonight. And then I couldn't help but think, no, I want to get home to Millie, like she's my world, right? So I was like, I need to get home to Millie, I need to see her just for tonight, and then I'll come back in the morning. And I did that. I went home, and the snow just kept coming down and coming down and coming down, and I woke up in the morning and I was just like, I need to get there. And at that point we all had to get there, like we were told we should all go. So me and my brother and my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, we all went in the car to try and get there. So we were like, I think I put that message out on Facebook after we tried to get there, because what we done was we went,
I'm sure that
car.
said that in the message, were you know stuck in the road or something? I remember
Castle
it.
Carey
Oh
on the
God,
motorway, and there was just, we were stopped for hours upon hours, and I went, we've been sitting there for hours, we're getting nowhere. We had to put the engine off in the car, it was cold, like I was like, right, okay, we need to try and get somewhere. So the three of us got out the car and walked up to Castle Carey Hotel, like, and got some food and a heat basically. Meanwhile frantically trying to work out how are we going to get here. Somebody had came down the cut off, the on-slip, would you call it, onto the motorway, and get stuck. So that was all stuck up there, and the motorway was just jam-packed. We couldn't get any further, and it kind of goes up a wee hill at that bit in the motorway as well, so we just couldn't move. Eventually the guy who had get stuck on the slip, on whatever you would call that, I don't know the official name, he got away, so we all started coming up. We got wind of it in the pub, and we all went back to the car and started coming up. And then that's when I got home, and I was like, right, we need to be in here tomorrow morning, like there's no doubt about it. How do we get there? And everybody was amazing. They were just trying to offer jeeps and like,
somebody did do that. That's how you got there in the end, didn't they?
So Grant's sister, somebody in their street had like a big 4x4 and got us through. And
in the morning, so you got there, no problem.
Yeah, and then my brother's friend brought my brother and my sister-in-law through as well. So we all ended up being able to be there. And then me and my mum and dad just stayed with her basically to the last minute. But the reason I was saying about Strathcarron and all that is because the money that we raised, so in Donna's
23 grand.
I know.
That's
it was
insane.
Amazing. I know, amazing. So we were in Strathcarron, and it was like Donna's sort of last days, and she had a bed that's kind of extended towards the side, and it's called a cuddle bed.
I remember it.
So Grant was in there, Megan and Aaron, the kids, were in and cuddling into her, and then her final sort of night, this is where I'll get emotional, me and my mum and dad, my dad sat in the wee chair at the side, and me and my mum were in the bed with her, and it was just, it's like something that brought us so much comfort in such a difficult time, do you know, like just being able to, the two of us were in, she was probably like, leave me alone, like she's not into that, she's not like super affectionate or anything like that, so she's probably like, get out of my bed, but the two of us were just lying side by side with her, and and a couple of days previous to that, she had says to me, this place is amazing, please raise as much money as you can for them.
I remember you saying that as well.
And I was like, God, thanks Donna, like no pressure. But she knew that we had been doing those charity nights, and hence why I've mentioned them. She knew we had done those and been really successful. I'll need to find out how much we'd done, but I think the Beatson one was about 10 grand as well. And this is before obviously Donna was, like we knew Donna was seriously unwell. So we raised that money. 10.5 grand went towards the cuddle bed, because that's how much it costs to buy one, and then they need to maintain it, so they never bought two. I was like, oh, buy two, because then more families can get use. They only had one at the time. And I had spoke to Louise, the nurse in Strathcarron, and I said, do you think it would be a good thing if we put the money or we try and get 10,500 to put towards this bed. And she was like, that would be amazing. We need more of these. Like, the amount of families that can't get use of it because one family's using it at the time, type thing. So I was like, that right, okay, we'll make our target 10,500. And yeah, 23 grand later, so we got the cuddle bed.
And that was testament to, like I say, how well known the whole story was, your whole family, and how well loved you are in Cumbernauld. That is testament to that, and you created that. Right, okay, I'm getting quite emotional myself. So.
No, I always say that was testament to how loved and cared for Donna was, that people dug so deep, like unbelievably deep. So we got the cuddle bed and we got the hospice costs. It's probably up in cost now as well.
It will
the cost of living, but it was something like 11.5 grand to run the hospice for 1 day. Like, they're funded by the NHS, I want to say for 50%. All the nurses out there will be screaming, no, it's not. I want to say it's 50% that they fund for the wages of the staff, but see, everything else
self-funded, which is why it's so important that these charities, there's so many charities that need the support, but
it's very local as well, do you know? So I was like, right, I need to do something, especially the care was just second to none. It was just unbelievable. You just can't thank them enough. And even to this day, we're always like, right, okay, what can we do? We've not held any other charity nights since. I don't know if I've just not been brave enough, but that charity night couldn't have went ahead because basically Donna passed away on the 2nd of March and the charity night was due to go ahead on the 29th, towards the end of March. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I think we'll need to cancel. And the more I thought about it, I thought, no, that was her wish. She asked me to do this. So my sister-in-law, like Alan's sister, was amazing. Like, she literally just took it all off me. She was like, we knew what we were doing, we had planned it for so long, we had loads of things in place, but she just was like, right, you deal with what you need to deal with, you're grieving, you need some headspace and some space. And she just took it all and she planned it and then honestly could not.
It was insane. It was insane. So moving on from Donna, because I wanted to tell your story.
I know, we're so far in.
It was such a massive, it's just crazy how everything turns out as well though, and now you're here telling your story. So
Donna
that was Donna, your big sister.
Yes, so she was 41, passed away. And also, as I mentioned, it's so crazy, Alan's mum was 41, passed away, and Alan, my husband, and his sister were the exact same ages as Megan and Aaron, my niece and nephew. So weird, like, we're talking about how the universe works. I'm so convinced we were all meant to come together. But yeah, Donna passed away in the 2nd of March 2018. Yeah. And by the April, I was getting burning under my armpit, and I went under my left armpit, and I was like, I need checked. I was started freaking out because I was thinking, well, I didn't think it would ever happen to my sister, so like, it could happen to me now. I'm in the mindset of nobody's safe, like it could happen to me. They sent me to the breast clinic, I think purely because I was stressing so much. They done a wee examination and they were like, no lumps, you're fine, you're too young for cancer. And I was like, no, I'm not, because my sister's only 41, she just passed away. But they couldn't feel anything, and I was like, right, maybe it's stress, my hormones, something like that. I've just lost my sister less than 4 weeks ago.
You're 28 at this point?
Yes. And I was just like, nah, right, okay, they've checked me, I'll just need to...
You just accepted it?
Yeah, I did. I just left it and got on with it. Still experiencing the burning in my armpit now and again, but nothing like crazy. So then, sort of fast forward to August, and I was lying in bed with Millie. She was quite young at the time as well, and I was just lying saying goodnight to her. I get this pure itch out of nowhere. Had never been itchy before. So the tumour itself was kind of sat above.
Boob?
Yeah, sat above my nipple on the same side, and I was like that. Oh my god! And I was itching, and I went to Alan, I shouted Alan, and I was like that. feel this. And it was like a wee Malteser. That's the only way I could describe it. He's like, get to the doctors. Obviously with his experience with his mum, and then obviously recently Donna passing away, get straight to the doctors. And he knew that I had had the burning under the armpit. So I went to the doctors, they were like, yeah, straight in. Got an appointment quite quickly, went in, they felt the lump, and they were like, right, okay, we'll ultrasound you and possibly biopsy. So they done the ultrasound, and I was watching it. I remember watching it because after, you shouldn't Google things, but after it I went home and I was like, I knew it was cancer before they even told me, because it just had all the, so that it was like, like it, so I can't remember whether it moves or it doesn't move. I'll need to clarify that one, but
everything you read matched what you had.
And I was like, in the shape of it and how it appeared on the scan, the ultrasound machine, the screen, and I was just like, oh my god. So they done the biopsy that day, and they said, I'm sure this was the Wednesday, and they have a meeting on a Thursday, all the oncology teams, and they all come together and sit around a big table. They call it the MDT, multidisciplinary.
And I think it's a Thursday everywhere, by the way, because everybody talks about that being
in.
Oh, right, well it is, because everybody talks about that.
Which is an incredible thing as well, because like, there's so many experts there looking at your case.
And they discuss every single case, don't they?
Yeah, they put it up on a big screen, and obviously if they dial in, then they've got it on their screen, but it's like they all sit around this big massive table, and they've got the big projector screen, and your image comes up, and they go through the history and all that. And it's incredible what they do, and they all put in, and what about this is what I've seen, and that's the beauty of it, I guess, is that you're getting loads of different opinions and
expertise of everybody that's in the country.
Yeah,
basically.
Yep. So they said it'll miss the MDT on Thursday, because this was Wednesday. It'll miss tomorrow's, so you won't hear back until after next Thursday. And I was like, right, okay. So prepared to just not hear back, and it was like 2 working days later. So this must have been after the Thursday, so I think this must have been the Monday, and they were like, can you come in tomorrow? Bring someone with you. And I was like, wait a minute, I wasn't meant to hear from you yet. Like, why are you phoning me? And then when they said, bring someone with you, I was like, I know what you're going to tell me now. Everything matches up. You've told me to bring somebody with me. Why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? So that was fine. We went in, and I just remember sitting in these wee seats with Alan, and I was shaking, and I was just like, I need to get in there, I need to hear it, because I kind of know what I'm going to hear as such, like, but I need it confirmed. So yeah, went in. Breast cancer, don't worry though, it's like a great prognosis. It's very small, smaller than a Malteser. I thought it was the size of a Malteser, it must have been a small one. And yeah, so you should be okay. We'll do a lumpectomy just to confirm the type of cancer it is, because there's lots of different types of breast cancer, and then we'll see what happens from there, but likely you'll only need radiotherapy because because it's so small, and like basically what they see, they didn't think I would need any more. So anyway, they removed the lump, they tested that, they removed some lymph nodes under my armpit as well, and then, sorry, I'm actually flushing here.
Do you want the window down further?
It's okay, it's just one of the many side effects of the lovely treatment. So where did I get to? Lumpectomy. Yeah. So yeah, got 3 weeks of radiotherapy on the area, so back and forward 5 days a week every day. Got the radiotherapy, got a blast, got to ring the bell at the end of it, saying my treatment was over. I was to be on tamoxifen for 5 years, so it's like a kind of hormone blocker. I managed 2 years of it because the side effects were not fun.
And I read that hormone blocker, this was something that you put out, is basically to put you into premature or artificial menopause, because estrogen, which I didn't know till I read this, aggravates or encourages breast cancer.
The type that I have, so it's like a hormone receptive cancer, but there's so many different types, so some might not feed off of that. Well, mine personally does. So yeah, like the tamoxifen's meant to kind of settle that down, but yeah, the side effects weren't fun. Like I was a different person. I was crazy. And I just thought, this isn't, well, I said, is it worth it? So I asked them, I said, what benefit is this doing me? And it was less than 9%, definitely less than 10% chance of reducing the recurrence. And I thought, what am I doing for like 9%? There's 91% a chance that this is going to come back. Why am I making my life a misery for doing this? So I was on that.
Did you stay on it?
No, so I was only on that for the 2 years.
Right.
I kind of did say, and I did want to try for another baby, right? So I did use that as my excuse, I guess. And told them, right, I want to be off, because you had to be off it for a certain amount of time. You couldn't be pregnant on that. That would just like cause complications for the baby. So I came off it, and then I went back to see a consultant because in my right breast I had like what they call dense tissue. It just felt dead hard, and I was like, I don't understand what this is, and obviously panicking. So I went back and I seen a different consultant, and she was like, that you should be getting, so I was getting a yearly mammogram. And they said, because you're so young, you should be getting a yearly MRI as well. But that's like, I'm 3 years down the line or something like that then, at this point, maybe 4 years. And I was thinking, why the hell have I went all this time and not been getting an MRI then? I'm not understanding it. So the MRI came back and it showed some scar tissue, and they wanted to be sure, so they called me back in on the original side, on the left side. They called me back in, so that was a panic. They seen something, they seen a nodule, I guess, and I was going in and I was prepared to get a biopsy because they told me I was going to get biopsied. And the girl ultrasounded it, and she was like, no, that's scar tissue. And she kept going back and forward. She prepared herself for a biopsy, she got all her stuff on and all that, and I was like, right, okay, literally this close to like putting the needle in to biopsy. And she went, nah, I don't need to do this. And I was like, are you sure? And I can't, like, I must have asked her about 3 or 4 times, are you sure? I would rather you done it now, and I know now if it's came back, than wait and risk it. She's like, no, it's scar tissue. So I was like, right, okay. So this same consultant that I had seen had said, don't have any more babies. Basically, if you want to live to see your child grow up that you've got just now, don't have any more babies. So instantly for me, that was like, that's fine. That's my decision made. There was no question about it. Millie's my priority. I've got love to give, but all my love's for her. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, no, that's fine. And it took a while to kind of accept it, I guess, because I always thought that I would maybe have a few kids. But I did, I accepted it. It was fine. I was like, you know what, that's fine. There's no, like, I've got Millie. I'm super lucky to have her, and I was grateful for that. So anyway, that was fine. And then just, I'd say within the last year and a half, I was just getting on with my life in between, and within the last year and a half I started getting a sore back, started getting sore ribs, and I kept saying it feels like it's under my ribs. It doesn't feel like in my ribs particularly all the time, under my right rib.
Is this the pain?
Yeah. So I was like back and forwards to the doctors. At this point I had no idea that I was experiencing symptoms of secondary breast cancer. My mammograms were coming back, in between my mammograms were coming back fine. The MRI, they were quite happy. They said that was just dense tissue, and everything was okay. And I was thinking, right, something's not right, but I just couldn't, I again, even the full experience that I had with my sister and with cancer, and I've missed out my brother. I've just remembered that was all before this. But with my experience that I've had with cancer, I still didn't think that that's what it could be. So I went to A&E probably around March this year and was told,
because the pain was so bad.
I couldn't get out of my bed, and I thought, right, I need to go. And I went, and the junior doctor said to me, no, it's muscular. Muscular pain can be quite bad. And I was like, okay. Sent me away with Cocodamol. Begged her actually before I went away begged her for an x-ray and she didn't want to expose me to radiation. And I was thinking to myself, surely a little bit of radiation is enough to, is not too much to ask given that my history and everything. So bearing in mind, a year previous, 2022, April 2022, my brother, Kevin, had been back and forward to the hospital as well and had an ultrasound in the December, and then come the April he ended up in Monklands as well in so much pain that they kept him in. I think they thought it was kidney stones, I want to say. And on the 12th of April 22 he was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. And yeah, so fast forward to 12th of April 2023, the exact same day in the exact same hospital, I had went back again to A&E because I was, again, couldn't move, crying in pain, stuck in my bed. And I had been to the GP the day before saying about the pain, I can't sleep or anything, and she was like, right, there's amitriptyline. And it just didn't do anything, and I thought, no, this is more than just a wee painkiller that I need to take at night, this is more than a sleeping pill. And I went the next day, 12th April 2023, a year exactly from my brother's diagnosis, and the doctor was amazing. Like, really probably the first doctor that really took me seriously. She was like, no, everything's pointing towards something. They were worried about spinal compression, but I don't think they really knew that it maybe be, well, maybe they thought it was cancer, but I definitely wasn't expecting it again.
Even the second,
I just was not expecting it at all. And yeah, the doctor came back into the room after some scans, and she was like, and my mum had came through early as well, which was bizarre. My mum had came through, she says, oh, I'll come back and pick you up because I couldn't drive, I was in too much pain, I'll come back and pick you up. And she came through early, and I was like, why have you come back early? I need to go for a scan and it's going to take ages to come back. And then when eventually the scan did come back, she came in and she was like, she came in, doctor came in, the nurse came in behind her, shut the door, and I was like, this is textbook, exactly what happened before, this is how it's going to be. And I just went, no, it can't be. And I remember just breaking down like crazy, screaming, crying, like I just couldn't accept that it was happening again, like especially how could it happen 3 times, like how's my brother's going through chemotherapy just now, like he's been told it's stage 4, it's difficult for him as well.
Aye, sorry.
No, that's okay. So I was like, it just can't be happening again. I actually, in fact, when the doctor came in, I told my mum to leave the room. I knew what they were going to say, and I couldn't bear for her to hear that again. But then she heard me screaming and crying and came running back in, so it was pretty pointless me sending her out the room, to be fair. But yeah, so I was diagnosed then, and
so that's only 6 months ago, is it even 6?
Yeah.
No, it's only 4 months.
Aye.
It's only 4.5 months.
Aye, so it's very raw, like they came in and they said, oh, it's in your spine, and I was like,
Is it? I didn't know that, Laura.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it's in my bones, and there's a small part in my liver, so it's quite extensive spread in my bones. Yeah, so yeah, it's all over my bones basically. And I've recently just seen a bone scan that kind of shows where it is, and it's quite extensive. So they basically, because they were worried about spinal compression, they told me to lie down, I wasn't allowed to move. They blue lighted me over to the Beatson at Gartnavel. I had to stay in that night, and I was just like, please, like I was hanging off Alan, begging him to take me home. Like I was like, I need to go home to Millie. Like automatically what you want to do is go home to your baby, you don't want to be like separated. But yeah, I stayed overnight, and then the oncologist came in and kind of explained a bit more about what would happen. So they gave me like 5 blasts of radio and 1 on my spine to make sure that basically the tumour's growing out of my vertebrae and my spine, and it can go into your spinal cord, and if you get spinal compression then obviously it's paralysis and things like that. So they just wanted to make sure that didn't happen, which was great. They were on the ball, they done it so fast, and I got that, and it kind of made the pain worse, but then it seems to have eased off and made it better.
So secondary breast cancer doesn't actually mean in the breast?
Mm-mm.
I didn't know that.
No.
But it makes sense now. I've just thought that when you're saying,
Yeah.
so it just means it's secondary cancer, but they always call it what the initial diagnosis was,
Yeah.
don't they? Is that right?
So I
Not
got
that
the
any of
ra-
that matters.
No, but it's good for people to know. So they got the they done the radio, and then I had to go back in the week later, a couple of weeks later it was, for a biopsy, and they were either going to do a liver biopsy or a biopsy of my spine, and they done the spine, but that was just to confirm basically that it was that spread and not, so you can have like new primary cancers. So you can originally have like breast cancer and then
All right.
a new
okay.
one can
Right.
develop, but mine has spread, but it's not necessarily, they've not shown anything in my breasts, like there's nothing there, so it's spread through like the it's not in my lymph nodes either, so it's spread through like the blood circulation. It's just moved, so the cells have just moved through the blood, and it's typical for what I've got. It's very typical of breast cancer, the way it spreads. So like your ribs, your liver, your spine, just your bones basically in general. It tends to go to your bones, and then I've heard quite a lot of people having it in like their lungs. Lungs and liver seem to be the two kind of organs that it goes to, but they just say that the one in my liver is like a suspicious, they've not obviously biopsied that, so they can't confirm, but it's like suspicious, so I'd imagine it probably is. But the bones are the main thing, and that's kind of what I'm getting treated for just now. They're giving me bone injections and all that to try and build up, water's going everywhere, try and build up the bones again, because so I'm on like a treatment, it's like a tablet. Some people call it chemotherapy, right, and some people call it hormone, like targeted therapy, but it's got like mild symptoms and side effects of what chemo would normally have, so it's just reduced, so you're still getting like, I've got like hair thinning, I've got like bad fatigue basically, and I'm trying to think what the main things are, and I guess just the lowered immune system and things like that as well can happen with it.
Are you still in pain?
Not as much pain as I was in the start, definitely not. Like I literally could hardly move to begin with, so it seems like the radiotherapy's kind of kicked in and helped. I was on steroids for the first wee bit, and that kind of reduces inflammation, but I'm off them now as well. So I've got that option sort of down the line, more radiotherapy, more steroids should I need them. But this kind of oral chemo tablet that I'm on just now should hopefully shrink or keep it all stable. If it shrinks it, then the bone injection that I get encourages your body to build the bones back up again. And yeah, I'm on like hormone that shuts down your ovaries and all that, and
That's the whole artificial or chemical menopause.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is the? I suppose it's just taking a day at a time scenario, but the prognosis is positive in terms of you're getting treatment. You are actually, again, I don't want to sugarcoat it, but I just want to be factual.
Yeah.
There is treatment available that you're getting to obviously prolong your life as much as possible, because you want that, you want to be here for Millie and for Alan.
There are people living with it, like I say, like 15, 20 some years down the line that I've heard as well, so that's really good. And lots of people that are on the drugs that I'm on are getting a lot of success, just even if they're a year or two down the line, they're still seeing good results. So obviously I'm hoping and praying for that, and there's other lines of treatment should this not work, but they'll just be a bit more invasive, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be positive. I'm just trying to keep a good outlook and focus on all the good stories. But I kind of feel like I've probably done my brother a bit of an injustice by like skipping by, because I had it all planned out in my head how I was going to tell the story. But
no, you've said about him. I think
he's obviously still going through chemo and things like that. But we're all trying to figure out why this has happened to three of us in one family, and there's no genetic So when my sister was diagnosed, because she was the first person in the family, they didn't bother with sort of genetics and all that, because there was no history. but now I've been tested with the genetics and my brother's been tested, and we found one gene that links all three types of cancer together. So my sister's sarcoma, my brother who's going through it's colon, like so bowel
Right.
colon cancer, and then breast cancer. But I've been tested for it and I've not got the gene. I think my brother's just waiting to find out as well.
So there's
whether-
really not a real significant connection.
No.
Then
Basically, I think there's not enough research
to know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to basically know how to link them all together. But yeah, obviously, I tried to. I think on my page as well, I'm thinking, right, I've posted a wee bit about sarcoma. That was like a awareness month just last month there. And then, like, if there's awareness months, there'll be awareness months for bowel cancer and things like that. I just don't know an awful lot about, like, my brother's, because I'm going through this, like, sort of at the same time. I've had a year in between, obviously. But yeah, I'd probably like to raise a bit of awareness about that as well eventually along the way, because he's obviously going through hell as well, and been in and out of hospital and things like that with his chemo, and his chemo really lowers his immune system as well. And you know, you just want to try and, I'm just going to try and put it out there for everybody, I guess, like for
Do
my
what you can.
sisters, for my brothers and for mine. But yeah, like, I guess he was back and forward as well. It's crazy. He was back and forward with stomach pain and to the doctors, and he was in the hospital as well, getting an ultrasound on his stomach in the December, and nothing showed on the ultrasound. And then come the April, so what, 4 months later, he was diagnosed as well. You know, like, it's just bizarre. And my sister-in-law, at the time when he was diagnosed, my sister-in-law was away with her mum. Her dad was away. My mum and dad had the kids down at the caravan as well, so it was just me and my brother that was here. And I remember him phoning me and saying, I knew he was into hospital, he went into A&E because the pain was that bad, and I just remember him phoning me, and I went, "Are you alright?" I was in work, so I just didn't expect the call, and I was like, "Are you alright?" And he's like, "No, I've got cancer." And I was just like, oh my god. And I just fell to the floor in my work and had to go to, like, I got my sister-in-law to take me over, and it's just bizarre. But I think like, getting through all this and two people going through it in your family at the one time, having lost your sister, is so difficult, it's so hard. But we're super lucky. We've got, like, amazing people round about us. My sister-in-law is just amazing with my brother. Like, it makes me emotional even talking about it, but she's just like a wee nurse, and she just looks after him and just there for him all the time. Back to work now, but what she's not too happy about, leaving him to his own devices. But yeah, it's just such a difficult thing to go through yourself, let alone I'm sitting thinking, oh my god, what can I be doing for him as well? Like, when, you know, I've got to be careful and I've got my journey and I'm trying to think about that as well. It's really, I don't even know how to describe it other than it being really hard.
And I don't even think there is a way to describe it, and it's so, I can't even imagine, Laura, I can't imagine how challenging that's putting it mildly, it must be for everybody in your family, and your mum, your poor mum and dad.
I know,
as
I
well.
don't know how they do it. I really don't. And I think I probably haven't really mentioned them much because I couldn't possibly, if I feel the way I feel when I've been diagnosed about Millie and my wee girl, I just cannot
Imagine.
So I wouldn't be able to get through this at all if I spoke about them. But they're incredible. I couldn't do it without my mum. Like, my mum's just, she's my chauffeur, as you've seen just now, because I'm not driving. And yeah, like, yeah, everybody, like my husband and just everybody's just amazing. Like, it's so good to
And it's
have
so
them all
important.
around, but it's mentally challenging for all of them as well. Like, I don't know how they cope day to day, and they don't tell me because they don't want to put it on me. So, but they do have good support around them as well, which is good that they can go and talk to people and kind of get that off their chest and things like that as well. But
What is your current, so there's just a couple of things I want to ask you before
I know,
we wrap
sorry,
up.
I feel like I've just went from one story to
you-
another.
No, it's been perfect. What is the purpose of your page? What is the message that you want to get out there?
So I think initially I was thinking I need people to know. So I guess I've probably not covered this much. We'll need to do 5 more of these to get it all. But I think I need people to know when they've been diagnosed with breast cancer initially that it can recur. And I think they do know that. I think most people know that it can come back, right? But there's nothing given out or nothing said when you are like on your way. Right, okay, you've had your surgery, you're on your 5-year treatment or your 10-year treatment, which is just a tablet every day. You get your yearly mammogram, and on your merry way, and that's you. I need people to know that if you get these symptoms, so like I'm saying, rib pain, back pain, pain under your ribs, fatigue, I'll post again actually, I'll keep posting this same thing. So what I had said to you about the Meetup UK, that's a charity that I'm going to try and kind of volunteer with a wee bit just to get the word out there. They've made up this little infographic type thing, and that is how I discovered I had the symptoms before. This was actually after I was diagnosed. I was reading it and I was going, oh my god, if I had known, I would have went back to my breast team. I could have went back to my breast team a year and a half ago, and told them I was getting these symptoms, and they would have been like that, right, get you in, and could have been caught so much sooner. But they don't give that information when you've had a primary diagnosis. They don't tell you it might come back, and yeah, it might scare somebody, but would you not rather be scared than not know and get to the stage where you're stage 4 and it can't be cured? So I initially thought I'll set up that page and I'll put as much out there as I can. I'll spread awareness. I just started adding hundreds of people. I just started following loads of people. I thought if I can follow them, they'll follow me back, and then they'll read not my story, because it was never initially about my story actually. So only probably more recently, and when I spoke to you, I was like, it's probably a good thing for people to get a bit of context round about it and understand. And then I think when people feel the emotion of it, sometimes they'll be like, all right, wait a minute, I don't want that to happen to me. So they'll maybe pay more attention to it a wee bit, I think. So it is purely was set up for awareness. But I guess I'm finding myself going, right, okay, I'm going to share more of my story. I'm divulging everything here. Know my shoe size and everything. No, but like, and now I think I'll probably try and brave it once I see this back. I'll try and brave it and maybe like
speak your stories,
about it a wee bit.
Because that is so effective, it really is, if you're able to do that. If you want it, it's up to you though. It's your, it's your journey, it's your life, it's you play it out however you want it to be.
There's only so much people can read, do you know what I mean? So I think they need to listen.
People in person is much more engaging than reading something.
I'm understanding that. I just didn't, for me, I was like, I'm not wanting to be an influencer that goes out there and stands in the middle of Buchanan Street and puts my trainers on. Yeah, that's what I said to you.
I've said that. I've used that analogy as well.
My God.
No, we get that. We know that. Yeah, it is an informative blog.
But
if
it might
like.
bloom. Who knows? Like how much I decide to actually go on and talk about and things like that. I want it to be relatable. I want people to see it and go, it's not just me. I want people to be able to reach out to me and be like, I don't know how you do it with however many followers, 18,000 followers or whatever you've got, and you always reply. You're always coming back and you're always speaking. And there's people out there that I've tried to reach out to that have a massive following, that are going through the same thing as me, and I get no response. And I'm like, I want people to message me so I can respond and make them understand that it's not just them.
It's quite a difficult thing to manage that.
Oh, I can imagine, because I get like minimal and I'm going,
I'm not able to respond to absolutely every single message. I'll hold my hands up. There is a point where you get to that point and you go, I just cannot cope with it and have a life, be a mall, run a house, blah, 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 blah. But I do my best. I do as much as I can and reply to as much as I can. So there is that thing of getting a balance. But your videos, so if you do a video responding to, say, a common question, you're actually responding to quite a lot of people by doing that anyway. So
people maybe thinking it and not saying it as well,
that you can actually. And the final thing I was going to ask you was just about how you're feeling yourself about the whole thing.
I'm okay now. well, I'm saying okay, as okay as can be, like, given the circumstances. I think the first month and a bit, I was like a jelly man. I think I was just like on the couch in my jammies, couldn't do, like, I just couldn't focus on anything else, sobbing 24/7. I think that all comes with some of the treatment as well, because of the whole chemical menopause, because all the hormones get my ovaries are shut down, like, there's just a lot to it. So I think some of it was that, the side effects of the treatment and everything, and then the majority of it was just absolute devastation. Like, I just couldn't get my head around it. But I've kind of decided not to focus on it. It can't be my 24/7 focus. If I'm sitting focusing on that all the time, I'm not living my life. I'm not making the most of my life that I've got. And yeah, eventually that will be cut short, and it will probably be the cancer that kills me. But I'm not prepared to just go, right, okay, that's it, that's taking me, and you know what I mean? Like, I know that there's plenty of treatment out there, there's plenty of things that can be done before it's like, oh God, you know, that there's nothing left to do. You know, I'm not ready to, like, be at that point. But it's mentally, like, I was depressed, severely depressed, anxiety through the roof, and it's, like I said, an emotional roller coaster. I do get like that in some days, and some days I'm just like, I don't want to go out the house, and I'll just sit and cry. But I'm like, that's fine, that's okay. Like, that's, like, with this kind of diagnosis, you can't expect to be okay all the time. Your life is literally being, like, splashed before your eyes, I guess. But people are trying to view it as more a chronic condition now as well. So that's what I'm trying to get the mindset of. It's a chronic condition. They're treating it the same way as other people might get Crohn's and things like that treatable. This is getting treated. It's not going to go away, but I'm going to continue to get treated for it, and I'm going to live with it. And just now I feel good in that sense, I guess, is that I'm not getting all the crazy side effects that unfortunately I'm watching my brother get terrible chemo side effects. I feel lucky, and I don't know if because I'm watching my brother as well, I am feeling a bit more grateful that I'm not having to go through that. And I guess I kind of, yeah, it's hard, it's really hard. Mentally challenging, upsetting, emotional, everything that you could possibly imagine. But I don't know, somehow I just managed to get up and do it. And actually I do know it's Millie.
Yeah, you said that, and we touched on that before about, you know, being a parent. That's just how it is, and it's more of just accepting the situation than thinking about being brave or anything like that. But I know that's how people see it.
She's my whole wide world, and that's what you fight for. I'm going to cry last bit, and I'm going to
well, this is obviously going to get shared. Your page will be tagged. You've already said you want people to reach out to you and ask questions. You've got a fair bit of knowledge through personal experience on quite a lot of cancers there.
Unfortunately. So even if it's just to what are you getting, what's your brother going through, like, what did your sister get, like, what treatment, what did you like, do you know what, there's just so many things. And I know that I want to ask people questions. Even though I've got quite a bit of experience, I still want to ask people questions. So I want people to feel comfortable that they could do that. I'm not saying I'm no doctor or nurse or expert
it's
or
just
anything,
sharing
but
experience. So
I'm more than happy to, like, kind of share my experience. And I probably will start, like, chatting a wee bit
on your stories.
The anxiety's like, my levels have went down a bit now.
Well, you've done really well today.
Thank you so
I just
much.
want to say thanks so much for coming to share your story. I know that people will contact you and will ask questions. You're so welcome.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.